to the Israeli, because like nothing will make you feel better after killing a bunch of Palestinian kids than a happy meal.
بيرس وين بيرس ابن الامبورسي؟
اكتب
يا بيرس مورغان بسرعة.
The Palestinian Authority is that we are just happy with 22%.
نرجع من أول. أيوه.
You could argue you have two sets of people with just cause, and they believe passionately
شغل هاي
in their
السي
just
سي
cause.
ما أعرف اسمها
ترجمة ما في
He
سي
was sort
سي
of
لا.
advising people not to take sides unless you really
أنا بترجم.
understand
أوكي.
the history.
خلينا نعيدها من أول شباب.
You said top.
ما في ترجمة لايف شباب.
Let me ask you this. Jonathan Friedland is a top Jewish journalist for the Guardian newspaper. He wrote a very interesting column last week in which he said, at the root of all this, you could argue you have two sets of people with just cause, and they believe passionately in their just cause. And he was sort of advising people not to take sides unless you really understand the history. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that both sides have legitimate just cause? Not with the methodology that's taken place, and you've given an extremely detailed analysis of the build-up to what happened in 48. To me, it's pretty clear 700, 800,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homes, and it should never have happened. And that has been absolutely, I think, the root cause for so much resentment. But can you, at the heart of this debate, agree with Jonathan that you could argue there is just cause on both sides?
There is a cause on both sides, but I'm walking on a tightrope here because I'm not a Palestinian.
Yeah.
But from the Palestinian point of view, there's a lot of people. I mean, there are 2.2 million people living in Gaza. There are 3.5 million people living in the West Bank. There is 350,000 people living in East Jerusalem, and there is like 6 or 7 million people living outside. Those people, the Palestinians that were pushed out, they do not have the right to go back. Right now, if you meet Palestinians, you'll see them wearing a necklace with a key. That key is their house that they were kicked out from in Yafa and Haifa. You know, like my wife's family comes from Ramla, which is 50 miles from Gaza. And according to the law, those people have absolutely no right to go back. Even if you are a Palestinian with an American passport, they give you hell in order to go in. And yet, a Jewish person born anywhere in the world, born in
بحكي حاليا عن بقول له يعني هلا بغض النظر عن الاوضاع الحاليه اللي جوا انه اسرائيل إلها اهداف والفلسطينيين لهم اهداف، فانه يعني كل الناس راح تاخذ سايد يعني اتجاه معين، سواء انت كنت بتأيد اليهود او بتأيد الفلسطينيين. يعني باسم خش على الخط فبحكي له بقول له انه انسانه من ال 2.2 مليون اللي بغزه وال 3.5 مليون اللي عايشين بالضفه، بقول له في 6 ملايين طبعا اكثر اكيد صاروا هلا، هذا التعداد يمكن الاخير، هلا المهجرين زادوا يمكن وصلوا 8 مليون. anyway بقول له كلياتهم لابسين قلاده هون عليها مفتاح. يعني احنا فعلا في يوم من الايام اغلبيه اللي من اصول فلسطينيه في يوم من الايام حاس انه يعني نفسه يرجع يعني في يوم ما.
Poland, born in Ukraine. No question asked, he can jump on a plane, land in Israel, and get the
بقول له شوف الفرق، بقول له الست 7 ملايين هذول اللي حكينا عنهم فلسطينيين ممنوع يرجع لفلسطين. لكن اسرائيلي اي حدا بنولد ان شاء الله ببريطانيا بامريكا مش عارف وين معاه حق على طول من دولة اسرائيل انه يركب طيارة ويظل رايح على اسرائيل ويعيش كمواطن هناك. يا عمري يا اخي فاهمين ما الكل بقول لي ترجم، يفضح امي اذا بترجم. يلا
the Israeli citizen and take a house that most probably
أنا مثقف أنت يلا.
So it is not just like it is an ongoing injustice that has been happening. Now, I mean,
where would you criticize, if you're being fair-minded, where would you criticize from 48 onwards the behavior of the Arab side?
Well, put yourself in the Arab side. At 1948, you constituted 70% of the population. Suddenly, the UN is giving you 48% of the land. Right? Not just that, I mean, the Arab regimes, because they did terribly, and see, this is the thing, like, Arab nationalism at the height of these people feed on each other. because it's very, very important to have a problem. Oh, it's Israel, and for Israel, oh, it's the Palestinian. It's a very good distraction. I mean, sometimes I feel that like the Palestinian cause is very useful for both sides to stay there as attention because it's always a way to reflect. But and this is a very important question because in the mind of the Western audience, they always thought of the Palestinian resistance or the Palestinian side as like Islamic, as militant. No, as a matter of fact, some of the early suicide bombers were female Christian Palestinians because they, like the IRA, they were fighting for a land. The whole idea of Islamization of the whole cause came very later. As a matter of fact, you will find this very interesting because when I saw this, I did not believe it. This, the Fatah movement, which is the PLO, the Fatah.
Of course.
This was their slogan. Can you see? You see there's a crescent, a cross, and a menorah. And they say unitary, democratic, non-sectarian. So basically in the 1960s, Fatah were basically marijuana-smoking tree-hugger hippies. And yet that didn't work, right? And the thing is, I always hear that Arabs were giving so many chances for peace. That is not true. As a matter of fact, all along history, Israel didn't give an inch of land by peace. 1973 war, they gave back Sinai because Egypt initiated the war. 2006, they went out of south of Lebanon because of the resistance they have. Even the disengagement of Gaza, they didn't do it out of the goodness of their heart because they had too much casualties. And even the Oslo Accords, the peace treaty, the one that Isaac Rabin and got the Nobel Prize for, they did it because of the Intifada. So what is the message that Israel is giving to the Arabs? I will never give you anything with peaceful resolution. You will always have to fight for it.
Do you not think that, for example, Bill Clinton feels very strongly
ما راح أترجم
there was a
فضحت على أمي إذا
great deal to
بترجم.
be done, and Arafat just in the end, having indicated the whole time that if we got to this place there would be a deal, just walked away. That was the closest that everybody came, and but actually, could Clinton have done any more than he tried to do then?
I am not, again, that's why it's very important to have people who are much more qualified than me to talk about this. But two things I can say about that. Number one, the whole thing about the Oslo Accord, there was a video for Netanyahu who was talking to the settlement offer in 2001, and he was bragging about sabotaging. He was talking to us like, I sabotage it, like there was going to be no peace. Yeah, you've seen that, right? Yeah. And in that video, if you remember, when he was saying like you have to hit them hard, 2001, no Hamas at the time. They were talking about the Palestinian Authority. We have to hit them, we have to kill them, we have to make them feel the pain. And then one of them says like Bibi, but wouldn't America kind of just like, so what? The American public is easily manipulated. 80% are with us. It is absurd. And as a new American, where I can have the privilege of being retrospectively angry, I said like, this guy is mocking the government and the people who have been with him all the time. It's like, oh, they can be easily manipulated. They can do it. And even, by the way, even Isaac Rabin.
صرت حالف بسبب يعني صرت حالف شباب ما راح أغلط على أمي عشان أترجم لك بس لأنه الأخ حاب يعني فهمنا إنه هو ماخذ دورة بالإنجليزي ففاهم شو اللي قاعد بيصير.
One who actually did the peace accord. He was known famously, say the way to actually beat those children is to break their bones, called the broken bones policy. They will get those kids and break their bones on the pavement. So this has the whole idea about Israel wanted peace and Arabs wanted to fight is a very bad representation.
I actually think as it's gone on, the genuine will on both sides for peace has not existed.
No.
I think it's been a deceit to the world.
No, I'm sorry.
And to the relative groups of people on both sides.
The official...
And actually a betrayal of them.
The official stand of the Palestinian Authority, and again, I cannot speak, it is very difficult to do this. The official stand of the Palestinian Authority is that we are just happy with 22% of the land. Just give us like that. Yes, there are people that dissent, but the thing is, you cannot just say, okay, let's talk about peace. And then you take away my land. Let's talk about peace. And there's a kind of passive aggressiveness happening. Oh, let's talk about it, but I'm going to build settlements. I'm going to suffocate your cities and your villages.
You see, I think that has been incredibly inflammatory.
Yes.
Worsening the situation. I think putting back the chance of peace. I mean, Netanyahu, I interviewed Netanyahu earlier this year in the middle of the big social protests in his own country. And I couldn't understand what he thought he was doing, except that it seemed to me political expediency, that he had to get power. Again, he had put a bunch of right-wing headbangers into his cabinet who have incredibly bad records, speak in an incredibly incendiary way about...
مو قصة ترجمة، بس اتوقع انه بيرس انه تغير مفهومه على القضية الفلسطينية وبعد ضال نفس موقفه.
معلم بيرس
هسه هادئ هالمرة
لانه قدامه وجها لوجه. الفكرة بيرس هو يعني احسن نوع عاطل، خلينا نسميه. هو لا مع ولا ضد، فاهم؟
بس قصد المقابله الاولى كان يتهجم بشكل مو طبيعي، هسه لا ما يتهجم يعني، لا بده يحاول يفتهم يستوعب.
هو لانه باسم كان جاي كثير منفعل ومش مخلي بيرس يحكي، فكان انه هذاك بقول له يعني خليني احكي. فبس هو شو وظيفته؟ هو صحفي حلو. بتيجي اخبار اسرائيل بتقول اللي هي لعبتها الدائما الكذبه. لما انضرب الصاروخ حكوا مثلا، جابوا بالمقابل الماضي سيره الصاروخ اللي انضرب، فبقول له يا اخي طب اسرائيل عملت تحقيقات وطلع الصاروخ طالع من حماس. فهو بيحكي اللي بيسمعه ملوش دخل. احنا عرب فاهمين الليله ومارق علينا الكلاوات هاي كثير زي ما بيقولوها. هو لا بقول لك هي يا اخي اسرائيل بتقول لك هيك، انت ليش متاكد انه اسرائيل؟ فزي هيك سوالف يعني. هو بيسمع كل شيء بيسمعه بيسولف فيه.
And he did this for power, and then he launched because they were pushing him to do it, a ridiculous assault on the integrity of the Supreme
Israel. The whole idea that you're Arabs, you're all the same. No. Because what will happen then? So Israel will move into Jordan.
زي ما جبتوهم عنا رجعوا خذوهم.
This is not a solution. This is not a solution.
هاي مش ترجمة، هاي تحليل. يعني انه اليهود او بعض الجورناليست بيحكوا انه ليش ما مصر تخليهم يفوتوا على سيناء، وليش ما الاردن تفوت شوي من قطاع غزة. طب جد ليش ما تفوتوهم ليش ما ترجعوهم على اوروبا؟ رجعوهم على المانيا محل ما كانوا. مش المانيا هسه تمام امورها، رجعوهم على بالبلاد اللي جبناها، فرنسا
والمانيا. راح يموتون عليهم.
مش انتوا احسن منا يا سيدي. احنا اسمع هذا زي اللي برن عليك اوسم وبقول لك يا اخي اقسم بالله انك رخيص، ليش ما بترن علي؟ يا اخي انا رخيص، رن علي انت. يا انا حيوان يا اخي، رن علي انت. انا حقير يا اخي، كسر عيننا يا اخي. رن علي يا اخي، انا حيوان. يعني بدك تتهمنا انه احنا حيوانات؟ طب ما هي مبين الخطه من اول انه بدهم يطلعوهم على سينا، هي واضحه.
Bاسم, I hear you. I'm not taking a position either way. Let me ask you.
لا زي ما قال يعني واضحه الخطه من اول واضحه. بدهم يطلعوهم على سينا عشان بعد كم من سنه يجوا الصحفيين يقول لك طلع المجازر والخرل والمجاعات اللي قاعده بتصير. تيجي اسرائيل حامله حمامات السلام تخش على سينا انها جاي تقتل الارهابيين اللي في سينا، فبتاخذ سينا. هاي خلصنا من اول خطه. هي اصلا جزء سينا بخطتهم الصهيونيه لهم، بدهم من عند سينا واطلع
يعني يطلقوها حتى لو ظل 50 سنه
يا اخوان. يعني انا اقسم بالله مش فاهم قديش مضرطه جو اليهود، قديش مضرطه. راح اقول لك كيف. بيجي بيقول لك ترى مصر إلنا، هاي اقرا ايام موسى فرعون طرنا منها. بعدين بيجي يقول لك فلسطين إلنا الكنعانيين. بعدين بيجي بيقول لك ترى الاردن برضو مرقنا منها، السعوديه خيبر. هاي خطتهم شباب. يعني هسه هو كل واحد يهودي راح خرب أرض عربية ولا أجنبية بده يسميها إله ويرجع يأخذها. حلو على طيازنا معلم. شو فيه؟ طب أنا أبوي كان بأمريكا، كان بواشنطن، أنا بدي أرجع أخذ واشنطن. حلو عنا يا أخي. شو البضرطة هذه؟ أنا عندي دليل جدي كان بواشنطن، بدي أرجع أخذها. بدي واشنطن. I want واشنطن باك. بدي أرفع إعلام وأعمل شو اسمه جماعة. شو المضرطة هاي؟ كل واحد يهودي بهالزمانات شخب منطقة بده يجي ياخذها. what the fuck is wrong with you guys؟ انتم مالكوش أرض، انتم مشتتين. ربنا هيك سوى فيكم لانكم خرا يا عمري. افهم.
But I want to say something about what Queen Radia said.
Okay.
The whole idea about like the West.
Yeah.
I think that in 3 weeks Israel morally corrupted the West like no other. I think the West will have a lot of time to recover, because for years the West has been telling us, oh look, we're liberal, we're all about human rights, all are equal, adopt our values. And then suddenly you don't want to even to cease, we don't want to even tell Israel to stop. And suddenly we woke up and we found McDonald's are giving free meals to the Israeli because like nothing will make you feel better after killing a bunch of Palestinian kids than a happy meal.
يفرح والله خرب يوم مش طبيعي. ايه والله هابي ميل يعني بعد ما تقتل فلسطيني ايه. لا عادي وشو ترى قطعوها شكله باعرها اكثر. كيف احنا 8500 واحد منكم 1% قادر يبعث دونيشن وكلكم دقيتوا ببعض، كيف بدك دولة تتفق؟ الله يصلح حالنا بس والله. يلا
اوكي
Yeah.
خلصت المقابلة الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله.
مقابلة خلصت.
طيب
بس
جماعة التحدي جماعة التحدي شباب بس افهم علي والله إلا إذا أنت مغرض أو جاهل. يا أخي أنا بحكي معك في موضوع قد تختلف مع بعض إجراءات القيادات العربية كائنا من كانت وأي دولة كانت، وما أكثر أخطائنا عربيا، لكن ما تعممش مش عارف وصلت ولا ما وصلتش. مش عارف
والله يا ابو محمود اللي بعت الدونيشن الهدف يا اخوان انه يسوي فتنه بس بالبث عشان
ايه والله يعني انت اذا تشوف اذا انت قصدك تعمل فتنه فالله يسامحك، واذا انت مقتنع في كلامك فهو كارثي وكارثي. يعني اختلف مع رأيي غلط هسه مش عارف كذا. ليش الدولة الفلانية ما تدخلت؟ طب ليش الأردن مش عارف؟ طب ليش مصر ما مش مفوتة هذول عسير؟ طب ليش عادي استنكر لكن انت ما عندك الصورة اللي فوق، الصورة الكبرى، الصورة الكاملة. ليش الدولة هاي عملت هيك وليش هاي الدولة عملت هيك؟ شو الاعتبارات؟ شو هذا؟ صح غلط اوكي اختلف اللي بدك اياه، لكن لا تغلط، لا تسب على دولة. شباب دولة ما بنغلط عليها، خليك عاقل يا شيخ، ما بزبط تغلط على دولة يا اخي